Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast. My name is David,
I'm Colin.
And I'm Retro Ray.
and this is where we talk all things Star Wars. And before we get started today with all the news, we want to thank all of our awesome Patreon supporters out there, starting with Hayden Hauser, Darth Ace1, Liam McCallion, Chris Simpson, Kevin Leininger, Devin McCaffrey, Drew Peters, Zach Netzel, Benwer526, Maya Morris, and Maka Tautala. Thank you so much for your awesome love and support out there. Um, can't do this without you. But on to the news, the big news today. Last night, James and I did a 6th anniversary episode podcast for
Yeah.
Star Wars stuff. And right after we finished, the news kind of leaked out that according to many sources, Variety included, Patty Jenkins is claiming that she's back on the job to work on Rogue Squadron. It's back off the shelf. It's in development, and I want to read this article directly from Variety here. It's entitled "Patty Jenkins Says I Am Now Doing the Star Wars Movie Rogue Squadron After Wonder Woman 3 Fell Apart. I now owe Lucasfilm a draft." Patty Jenkins' Star Wars movie Rogue Squadron might not be dead after all. The project centered on fighter pilots in the Star Wars universe was first announced at the end of 2020 and was put on the calendar for a December 2023 theatrical release. By September 2022, however, Disney had pulled the title from its release schedule. Variety reported last May that Rogue Squadron was no longer in active development at Lucasfilm. In a new interview on the Talking Pictures podcast, Jenkins announced that she is now once again in development on the script for Rogue Squadron, following the dissolution of her planned Wonder Woman 3 at Warner Brothers and DC Studios. Variety has reached out to Lucasfilm for comment. She says, when I left Star Wars to do Wonder Woman 3 and I started working on that, we talked about, well, maybe I'll come back to Star Wars after Wonder Woman 3. So we started a deal for that to happen, Jenkins said. When Wonder Woman 3 then went away, Lucasfilm and I were like, oh, we've got to finish this deal. We finished the deal right as the strike was beginning, so I now owe a draft of Star Wars, so we will see what happens there. Who knows? They have a hard job in front of them. What's the first movie they're going to do? Jenkins added about Lucasfilm. They have other directors who have been working, but I am now back on doing Rogue Squadron. We'll see what happens. We need to get it to where we're both super happy with it. Rogue Squadron is still not yet confirmed to be officially happening, but Jenkins is working on a script for it. She said she would be absolutely happy to make it, adding, the emotion of Star Wars and what it stands for is something so beautiful in this world. If I can do something beautiful and do something that serves that audience, I would love to do it. Jenkins had been developing a third Wonder Woman to star Gal Gadot, which appears to be on reason Rogue One stalled. Appears to be one reason Rogue Squadron stalled in the first place. In December 2022, however, news broke that Wonder Woman 3 had fallen apart after Warner Brothers leadership passed on Jenkins' treatment for the sequel. Jenkins publicly exited the project. The news hit shortly after. James Gunn and Peter Safran took the reins of DC Studios and announced they would be overhauling the DC universe, which led to speculation that Jenkins had rebuffed efforts to reshape Wonder Woman 3 to fit into the DC universe. Jenkins says, I never walked away. Jenkins shared in a post on Twitter at the time, I was open to considering anything asked of me. It was my understanding there was nothing I could do to move anything forward at this time. DC is obviously buried in changes they're having to make, so I understand these decisions are difficult right now. Roughly an hour after Jenkins posted her statement, Gunn supported her on Twitter, replying, I can attest that all of Peter and my interactions with you were only pleasant and professional. Jenkins said on the Talking Pictures podcast that her experience with Wonder Woman is over. For the time being, easily, forever. She directed both Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984, making her one of the most prominent female directors in Hollywood. They aren't interested in doing any Wonder Woman for the time being, Jenkins said. It's not an easy task. With what's going on with DC, James Gunn and Peter Safran have to follow their own heart and to their own plans. I don't know what they're planning on doing or why. So I have sympathy for that, for what a big job it is, and they have to follow their heart and do what they've planned. You can go actually, I believe, on Max and watch that podcast that she did. But yeah, that's the news for right now. She's doing a draft, so it looks like Rogue Squadron may happen. We don't have an official announcement, but she says she's working on it. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Colin, do you think this is actually something that's going to happen? We're going to see it through fruition and it's going to be completed. And maybe we be one of those movies that we get sooner than later. What do you think?
Man. I think I was just saying this before we actually started. We need a win. We This needs to be good. This really, really needs to be good. Um, the other thing is this is taking place during the original trilogy, so we may see characters that we have seen before. That's the original storyline of Rogue Squadron. I know it was rumored to maybe happen during the sequel trilogy, and we get a Poe in them. So who knows? But if we have it happening in the original trilogy, and we're dealing with characters that we know, we need to give the same treatment that we've been doing with like of the Mandalorian and Ahsoka and stuff, and give that proper treatment, and not give it the same treatment that we did with the Last Jedi, of where they were trying to rewrite characters in a way. We need to make sure that we're staying on track. So that's my only thing about Rogue Squadron, is that it needs to be good. It needs to stay on track, and just don't make up new things for characters that have been established for almost 50 years now. So that's my only not concern, more of just kind of I'm worried a little bit, just because of we've seen stuff in the past. But then you've got Gareth Edwards, who did Rogue One, and it was fantastic, and Andor, that was fantastic. And so I'm excited either way. It's Star Wars, but we need a win. We need a great movie that is like Top Gun, but Star Wars. That's my hope for this. And I love the games and books. So, here's hoping.
Retro Ray, what are your thoughts?
So I'm stoked for it. One, when she made the announcement, I was very stoked. I love the military style movie type styles of like Top Gun, like he mentioned. You got to look at it differently now. We can't go back and look at Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker, and all that. Filoni wasn't looking over those things. We got Filoni now looking over what she's working on. So I'm pretty sure whatever she gives, Filoni's gonna have to approve it before he says, "Okay, I'm good with this. I'm good with that. I don't want that." I trust Filoni in that aspect. That I think between the two of them together, I think we're going to get a great movie. And now I'm going to go apply for Porkins' younger version, because I think I could fit that character. If they're going to give us, can you think about it? If they're going to do that we're going to see Biggs. We got to see a young Biggs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I don't think we know for sure what the timeline is.
Yeah. Like, I know they were toying with the idea of just kind of moving some of the storyline into the sequel era, of maybe where it would happen after the sequel trilogy, of where it would be like Poe maybe would be like the main person. Or
well, then I could see that.
Yeah, but if you're using the name Rogue Squadron, to me, it's like you are doing an original trilogy name. Like, that squadron has been through a lot, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the sequels, unless they're like, we are bringing back Rogue Squadron. And then you got Dennis Lawson, who played Wedge Tilly's, and you have him come back, and then he's like, all right, I need new pilots for this crew. And then he comes back, and like it could be something like that. But if you're doing it, I would say do it in the original trilogy storyline, because then maybe we could see, not just Rogue Squadron, but we could see Red Squadron, and just see more of just how these squads were formed. And maybe the beginning could be the Battle of Yavin, like just right before, and then the title happens, and then it's like after, because there's so many stories. If you guys haven't played the game yet, like, it's old, but check it out. Like, the games were fantastic. So yeah.
No, I mean, I agree with you on that aspect. I mean, you think about it too. So if you go back into Star Wars Rebels, you remember when they steal the bombers and they use them for New Hope. So I want to see that aspect where they're getting the ships and getting what they need and forming the Rebel Alliance and getting their ships. Because if you think about it, in Rebels, we have them stealing, you know, Leia's ships they're stealing stuff to create the rebellion. And I want to see that part of it in the movie and this aspect of it, and seeing these guys going on runs to get what they need, to get the fuel, to get the, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
That's just
yeah,
my
exactly.
my thing. I would want to see, but I don't know. What about you, David? I mean, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I like your idea, Ray. Have it to be a very kind of Rogue One-esque storyline where it does connect to the oldest lore of Star Wars. I think that'd be pretty cool if you tie it into the New Hope, uh, Death Star blowing up the trench run and acquiring the X-wings and having a squadron formed, um, and then maybe using old footage again. I don't know, but if they, I want to say that the last rumors I heard was this was going to take place after the sequel trilogy, but there's a lot of sandbox to play in Star Wars. I mean, you can go old, you can go new. Um, I know this was announced so long ago, it seems like, but yeah, Patty Jenkins. I don't know. I don't think I like any one of her movies. I have never seen Monster, but Wonder Woman, I didn't love it. 84 was not great. But like the article said, she's one of the most sought after Hollywood directors, female directors. But I mean, it's kind of one of those things, man. I'm hoping, like Colin says, for a big win here, and to see space battles primarily in the forefront of a movie, that would be terrific. And um, thinking about the whole Top Gun comparison, I would love to get that director to do this film.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That would be pretty good because he's already basically done it. Top Gun Maverick was
Yes.
basically A New Hope. He's
Oh
already
my
done
gosh,
A New
yeah.
Hope, but
Yeah.
on Earth. So he kind of gets it there. But yeah, Patty Jenkins made that whole kind of story. She told the story of her dad, who was a fighter pilot, and she did that whole kind of video where she rollerbladed on a tarmac and a X-wing landed there. And that was something that was supposed to actually air during the 2020 celebration that never happened, and they just
Yeah.
moved it to the investor call that they did.
Yes, I was gonna say that was announced like almost 4 years ago too. So it's just kind of crazy of just where we are now with that. It's like it's happening, it's not happening, but it's happening. So it's like, is it actually happening? Like, what's going on?
So one thing
Yeah,
I
I
wanted to
mean,
ask you, David.
she's writing a draft.
Yeah.
She says she owes Lucasfilm, but I mean, is it a matter of her just being out of work and she's just kind of falling back on what she can do, and she just kind of talked about it and she's trying to talk it back into existence? What are the plans that Lucasfilm has? Because we know these upcoming 2 years we're going to get 3 movies for sure. Are they going to fit? Where are they going to fit this movie in? Is this going to be maybe in pre-production? Placed in pre-production in 2025, and maybe we get something in 2027.
Yeah.
But you think about all of that, plus the success of these 3 next films, that's going to weigh heavy on whatever next film comes to pass. If Mando and Grogu's a big hit, they're probably going to want to do a sequel right away. You know, if that thing makes $1 billion, $2 billion, I mean, they're going to fast track whatever they need to do to get a sequel going for that, and tell us all that, oh, we planned a trilogy and we're going to do 2 more films to add to this because it did so at the box office. So it just kind of depends, I think. And I think Lucasfilm putting Rogue Squadron on the shelf like they did, I don't think they feel like it's one of the upper tier films that they're looking to just get out to the public. I think if Star Wars was in a much better place, I think if all these films were just totally beloved, yes, then I think that movie would be fast tracked, and they probably would have found a different director, since Patty Jenkins was going to do Wonder Woman 3, but that whole shakeup at DC happened with James Gunn and Peter Safran. So, I mean, I don't know. I like the idea of Rogue Squadron. Sounds great. That's like a dream idea, I think. Having dogfights and space battles and ship to ship combat, and yeah, that's right up my alley. That's the stuff of dreams right there. So hopefully it all works out. Hopefully it's great. I don't care really who directs it, as long as it's great. That's the only concern I really have. So yeah. So the next story I think we want to talk about here is the fact that we have the Mandalorian Grogu. Um, June is the designated film time, apparently,
Yeah.
according to Bespin Bulletin here. And there is an article that I'm going to read here, and it goes a little like this. Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu stars confirm June filming start, casts doubt on a fourth season of The Mandalorian, which is something we really haven't talked about much. But I mean, you figure if they're going to do a movie, they're not going to do a fourth season. So the article says last week, Brendan Wayne, one of the actors who portrays Din Djarin in The Mandalorian alongside Lateef Crowder and Pedro Pascal, spoke with another podcast about various topics relating to his time of the hit Disney Plus series. During the 90-minute chat, Wayne briefly discussed and recently announced the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, the planned follow-up, and Mandoverse crossover set to be directed by Dave Filoni, as well as the status of a fourth season of The Mandalorian. Early on in the interview, the topic of The Mandalorian becoming a film series arose, with the host bringing up the follow-up film to The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is set to be directed by Dave Filoni and has been described as a crossover event for the various Disney Plus series he's produced, which include The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. Wayne played coy regarding that movie, saying that he can't confirm or deny the existence of it, but added that he thinks that Lucasfilm should make 3 films, which is kind of what I alluded to. He says, I don't know. We'll see. I can neither confirm nor deny. At this point, I think they're going to make 3, honestly. There's got to be 3, via Brendan Wayne on the podcast. The article states, I'm sure someone will think the response from Wayne is somewhat odd when the Dave Filoni film was announced officially by Lucasfilm at last year's celebration. There's always a ton of rumors swirling around Star Wars, so I'm sure Wayne's conservative answer was due to that fact, and that he was just playing it safe if he was unsure in the moment if that movie had been announced officially or if it was just an online rumor. As the conversation continued, Wayne didn't want to commit to saying anything concerning what fans can expect in The Mandalorian and Grogu, and instead turned the questioning into the hosts. Wayne asked them what they expect from the movie, and one of the points brought up was that the ending of The Mandalorian and Grogu would set up Dave Filoni's crossover film, and that the conflict with Grand Admiral Thrawn and the Imperial Remnant. Wayne responded, but didn't give much of a response. Instead, he pushed the idea of The Mandalorian and Grogu becoming a film trilogy that would include Filoni's crossover flick. Wayne says, okay, so I don't know anything. I'm being honest on this part. On the last part you said, it's going to set up Dave's movie. From what I understand and from what I've read, Dave is still doing Ahsoka 2, Season 2. So I have the feeling that this movie is going. Ahsoka 2 is going. There's another movie, so I don't see how Dave doesn't do the final movie. I gotta believe there's 3 movies. I don't know anything. I'm being honest. I gotta believe there's a trilogy. Who doesn't do a trilogy? That's so weird. Like, if they only do 2 movies, it's weird. Via Brendan Wayne. One of the biggest questions on fans' minds in recent months since the announcement of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is, will there be a 4th season of The Mandalorian? Last spring, Jon Favreau confirmed he had already written the scripts for a 4th season and that they were already in pre-production. Filming on the 4th season was due to begin towards the tail end of September 2023, but production was indefinitely halted in May when the WGA strike began. Since the announcement of The Mandalorian and Grogu, there's been conflicting reports on the already announced 4th season, even within the Hollywood trades. Brendan was asked if there's going to be a 4th season of the hit Disney Plus series and said the following. No, I know we're doing a movie for sure. That's what I know. But unless they're going to abandon streaming, why do you abandon the thing you built your foundation on, which is streaming, which is The Mandalorian? I mean, that is humbly as I can say it. There's a reason The Mandalorian premiered when Disney Plus opened up. It isn't because we had this incredible library that everybody wants to subscribe to. It's because you had a show that was going to bring a character alive that we all dreamed of since we watched Star Wars, which was a Boba Fett-like character. Though Wayne initially says no to a 4th season, He follows up questioning why Lucasfilm or Disney would abandon the platform that made The Mandalorian what it is today, which makes it seem as if Wayne wants the Disney Plus series to continue, all while pushing the idea of doing 3 theatrically released movies of The Mandalorian. Personally, I think it's one or the other. Either the Mandalorian story continues on the big screen or the story continues on the streaming service. If The Mandalorian and Grogu performs well at the box office, remember, Disney these days are focusing on the theatrical releases instead of streaming. Then I'm sure that the story will be continued to be told on the big screen and that the streaming series will be abandoned. Lastly, Wayne was finally asked about the rumors of The Mandalorian and Grogu starting filming in June, something that's been reported multiple times from various outlets over the last couple of months. Wayne kept his answer brief, but confirmed the June start, saying, "That's what I heard. That's what I keep reading. I think Jon Favreau said June." Though there was a ton of tidbits for fans desperate for any information regarding The Mandalorian and Grogu, the interview was a fun one to listen to, and we at least got confirmation from one of the stars that filming on the movie is due to begin in June. Just 3 months away. It feels like we've had a lot of false dawns when it comes to getting a Star Wars movie in the theaters following the Rise of Skywalker, but it appears as if this one will actually come to fruition. Oh, and Wayne also confirmed that he's in the Din Djarin suit for character's upcoming Star Tours appearance. And that is it. So, guys, what do you think about all that information? Colin?
Well, I know Bob Iger said that he wanted to focus on the main IPs going forward. And at the time he was talking about Marvel, but I know he wanted to possibly continue that over to the other franchises. Do you think that is what he's, of what they're doing with all these movies coming out? Because to me, it would be weird not to continue the journey of Din Djarin and Grogu on the Disney Plus platform, because he's right. Like, that's where they began their journey. We would not be where we are today probably if we didn't have Grogu and Mando. I think the Star Wars universe would look a lot differently. And we probably would not have the same show of Ahsoka that we do now. I mean, honestly, the show of The Mandalorian broke a lot of ground. It broke a lot of ground. It showed us a new way to look at Star Wars, of where it doesn't have to, you don't have to be Luke Skywalker. You don't have to be a main descendant of these main characters that have been established for a very long time. You can just be a character in the universe, and then we can follow your story. And that's exactly what The Mandalorian was. And we had so much time with him because it was done as a TV show. Now, if you put that in a movie, that's fine, but continuing that as a movie, as just one movie or 3 movies, it doesn't matter. You get more time when you're on screen. So could it be a budget thing? Could it be, of where they are looking at this as an opportunity to get more people in the theater, because Star Wars did start on the big screen. So it does make sense, but also with Mando starting on Disney Plus, to me, that's the home of Din Djarin and Grogu. So I would love for them to do both. I don't have a real preference of just one on the screen and one on the big screen and one on Disney Plus. I think they should do both. That might be a pipe dream, but I think that's where they should be going, just because more content on all platforms is good. So, of course, of course, I want a Max Rebo series. Is that going to happen? No, not a serious way. I could see them doing like a spoof documentary of where they're like, all right, this has been Max Rebo's journey from all the way from Jabba's palace to now, and then they're like, is Max Rebo actually dead? And it would go to of where what happened in the book of Boba Fett. But I don't know. See, and I didn't even mention Max Rebo. That was someone else. I'm just letting everyone know. Yeah.
So, Ray, what do you think?
No, I can see. So this is, like I said, this is just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. Um, why can't we get both? Why can't we get like 5 episodes of Mandalorian on the TV streaming service of Disney Plus and then leave you hanging like to be continued May 4th, 2025 in theaters. You know what I mean? To me, it's like it's giving you a taste for people, mind you, if you haven't watched any of this stuff and you just happen to come across it, well then makes you go back. Look at perfect example. I'm gonna use this as an example. It's not Star Wars. I never watched Dexter, right? I jumped in 2 seasons before it was over just because of a certain actress that came out in it. I watched it, went back and watched it from the beginning to current. If something catches you, perfect example, we got a podcast person that we talked about earlier today, David. I don't know the person's name, but we talked. That you said they started listening to us and they went back to the beginning to listen to everything and they're almost caught up. If something's good enough and you want to watch more of it or listen more of it, you're gonna go back into the beginning and start. You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, all of us are Star Wars fans. How many times have we watched New Hope? How many times have we watched Revenge of the Sith? Even though it's been there, it's in our libraries. We're gonna go watch it in the theaters again. We're gonna go watch, because Colin's doing that event, or they're doing an event in your theater, right?
So they are gonna be having the Phantom Menace
Yes.
come in. Yeah. So, and that's not just my theater, like that's just like nationwide.
Well, I know you're probably gonna make it bigger than everyone else because
of course, absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
that's what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
it's good enough, we're gonna go back and watch it because all three of us here, we're gonna
Yeah.
go stand in line again, even though we have it in our on streaming and DVD copies,
Yes.
VHS copies. We're all gonna go watch it in the theater again.
Oh yeah.
When you love something, you're gonna watch it and you're gonna back it. Hey, don't get me wrong, we're not always gonna be happy with what they give us. That's the thing. They're not gonna be able to please the masses like they want. But if they get a good percentage of everybody involved, that's a good thing. But for me, I definitely want that. I want kind of the tease here and then the final thing in the theater. But that's like I said, that's why I said take it with a grain of salt. That's just how I would like it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
What about you, David? What would you like?
Well, of course, I would like a TV show and a movie, but I think as of right now, from the very top, from Bob Iger, the mandate is to concentrate on theatrical releases because the streaming service has stopped really kind of growing and making them more money. So if they do a theatrical release, we all go pay box office. They make money off of that. It makes $1 billion, $2 billion, whatever. And then it goes to streaming. And then if you want to see it on streaming, it's there. So I think all these studios, all these companies thought that streaming was going to be like the new kind of replacement, so to speak, for going to the movie theater. But as we found out, you still make more money at the box office. So that's why they're trying to go back from that 2019 push of, yes, get streaming. We have this new show called The Mandalorian. It was great, but I mean, if they really want to capitalize on it, and we were wondering at the time when we were doing the podcast, it's like, why don't they go from season 1 to make a movie? And now they're actually doing it because you make a whole lot more money. I mean, $1 billion, $2 billion. I mean, that's a lot of money, and merchandising as well. I mean, there's so much more opportunity to make money, which is what Disney really needs, I think. And I think they can make a great hit. I mean, they got all the people that were involved in season 1, season 2. I mean, we're thinking that all the same actors will be back. Pedro will probably be doing the voice from some dark closet somewhere in Canada, doing on the set of what's the name of the show on HBO?
Last of Us.
Last of Us. So yeah, he'll be doing the lines. We'll have Lateef and Brendan Wayne in the suit, and hopefully we get Katie Sackhoff back and Emily Swallow as Armor, and have a really cool adventure. And apparently this is all going to be shot in LA. I think it's the first Star Wars movie that's going to be all shot in America, apparently. So
Nice.
that'll be interesting. But also, the other mandate is stay within a reasonable budget, because I don't think Mando and Grogu is going to have the issue of like not making money. I think it's going to make crazy money, but still they want to keep the budget down as much as possible. And they have the whole volume technology. They can shoot it all indoors and then do the occasional excursion out into the California and Nevada desert mountains and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, the business sense side of it is, yeah, you just make a movie, see if it's a massive hit, then you do the second movie, then the third movie, and I think Brendan Wayne is right on there. So yeah. So this Facebook user says Disney needs more money. Everyone needs more money because everything just costs more and more.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
no
you
end to
have
the
to
money
think.
game.
Yeah, I was gonna say you also have to think too. It is not just you know, all this is going towards more films and shows and stuff. They've got parks, so they have a lot of stuff that they're currently working on, and with Epic Universe, you know, coming out, that's gonna you know, potentially make them, you know, maybe end up making another park, you know, just because of that's going to draw in a lot of people in the Orlando area. So what other way for people to get more psyched up than Disney be like, here's a fifth park? So, you know, who knows, but yeah, absolutely.
We just need not to be integrated into Disney's park. We need our own Star Wars park that is just the world of Star Wars.
That idea has been toured around with for a very long time, because you've got different kinds of Star Wars fans, right? You have the fans that are, that's canon, or the, oh, like, you know, I love everything, like, here we go, this is great. And if you have a Star Wars land, the reason why Galaxy's Edge works so well is because it's all one fluid storyline, right? So now that they have an official, like, kind of canon storyline, now it's no longer what it used to be before Disney got the rights to Lucasfilm. You've got, if you ended up doing of what you're talking about, which is where if they had one section where it's like Coruscant, and then you walk to another side of the park and it's like Tatooine, that would be great, right? But you have to think about it from the canon perspective. Like, are you going in treating this as a museum? Are you treating this as an actual amusement park? Like, how do you want this experience to happen? And if they treat this as a theme park experience, then I suggest that you do it the way that they do with Galaxy's Edge, where you are feeling immersed. I can't feel immersed if I'm like, I can just walk over to Tatooine from Coruscant. That's not, I mean, and I know people have really played with the idea, but it's the practical of the whole thing
But it's
that
supposed
is
to be fantasy, Colin, so we can have fun. It's not supposed to be where you can get immersed. It's supposed to be a place where you can be like, well, shit, I'm gonna go walk to Hoth over here, or I'm gonna go walk to Endor and go walk into the big trees. You know what I mean?
I would love that.
You know what I mean?
No, dude. I get it. I would love that.
Dude, I want to get in an
X-Wing,
X-Wing and I want to act like I can fly it.
Well, then you can go over to Dave. You can go over to Dave and Buster's and hop in the
No, it's not the
Star
same
Wars
thing.
pod thing. Yes, it is. You can hop in there for like what, like $3, and
come on. You
X-Wing
think about it. How many times have you ridden the Millennium Falcon at Galaxy's Edge?
Well, I used to do it every day. So
okay, but that's what I'm saying. You
Flex.
You got to. It felt like you were in it, right? But you were surrounded of the cockpit. I would like to get on. I mean, I don't know if you ever guys have been to like an air show, like for military.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how they have the planes and they let you sometimes get up and you can actually sit in the cockpits and stuff like that. That's what I would want to do. I would like to see it, and I would like to see the thing come down, and then then hit the buttons to turn it on. I don't know. I guess I'm just geeking out on it, but that's just my thing. I don't know.
Well, so instead of an amusement park, maybe do that as a museum type thing, right? So you are going through like of the different parts of the museum, and then you actually have the chance to sit in an X-Wing cockpit. If you don't go to Galaxy's Edge, you have the chance to sit in the Millennium Falcon cockpit, and maybe they build like an entire Star Destroyer bridge, and you have that experience. I think that would be better in a museum sense than putting it in a theme park sense. Because if you do it as a theme park, you don't want it to feel like a Six Flags experience of where it's like, here's this land, here's this land, and there's not that much theming. Because if I'm doing something Star Wars related, I want to be immersed, and I think a lot of people want to be immersed. So if you want that experience that you're talking about, I would put that in a museum. I wouldn't put that in a theme park type vibe, just because of all that could be put towards a museum type thing, where they have the props, and then if you want to experience, sitting in the cockpit or something, then you just walk over and then you sit in the simulation. But yeah.
Come on, you can't tell me you wouldn't want to jam out with Max Rebo.
I mean, yeah, but I could do that at a museum as well. Like, I mean, I don't know. Well, yeah.
I'm sorry, we're getting off topic. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, David. I can just see him just kind of zoned out. He's just like,
I know, he's like, really? We're getting this conversation?
No, not at all. I'm not zoned out. I'm just thinking about what I'm going to say in response to what you two guys are saying about this. Yeah, man. The theme park and the immersion, I'm all for it, but I think I totally disagree with Colin, and I agree more with Retro Ray, because if you have like separate worlds you can go to, I mean, you can still have the immersion.
I would love that.
It doesn't have to be like canon per se. Just you go to Hoth, it's cold. Like they have to hand you a jacket because it's like 4 degrees inside, and then you go through like areas of Echo Base, and you see the snow speeders, you see the tauntauns, and you can have like animatronic tauntauns and stuff.
Oh, do you see?
And then like have like a Wampa in the end, like grabbing at you. Like, I mean, it would be, and then you end that experience by jumping in a snow speeder or something, or like a carrier where it carries everyone, and it's like a Star Tours like adventure.
So I'm not saying I don't want that. I'm just saying that I don't see that really happening.
I don't see it happening either.
Yeah, it is my thing.
Hey, we could dream.
Yes, you are more than welcome to dream, but I'm just thinking of the whole practical aspect of the whole thing, which is they've got Galaxy's Edge. If they do a whole Star Wars park, they're competing with themselves, which means they either have to move Galaxy's Edge over to the Star Wars park, or they just have to get rid of Galaxy's Edge entirely, because more people will be going over to the Star Wars park. But Ray, correct me, you've never been to Galaxy's Edge, right?
No, I have not. I have not been to Galaxy's Edge. I have not had the luxury to go there yet. But I definitely, it's on my bucket list. It's just with my real job I got to do, and then of course you guys know I don't just work with Star Wars, I also work with Countdown. If you guys didn't know, this past weekend my buddy was up in South by Southwest, and he got to meet Daisy Ridley. So little things like that, it's just kind of like torn between, I don't have enough money to do everything, and it kind of sucks. But I guess we all have that problem.
I mean, hey, who knows? Like down the road, we could do like a field trip or a retreat or something. We'll make it work. But I mean, but honestly, if you get the chance to go to Galaxy's Edge, I would. Everything that you said is not 100% of what Galaxy's Edge is, but it's very similar to what you're saying. Honestly, give it a chance, go there, and then let me see if you change your mind or not. Because of that experience of Galaxy's Edge, it's like as soon as you step onto the planet of Batuu, you're on Batuu. The world is behind you, and you are 100% there, and it's fantastic.
See,
and yes,
I would want. Okay, I understand what you're saying. So, like, I see videos of everything, but dude, I want to see a Captain Rex in person. I want to see the Bad Batch in person. You know what I mean? But not cosplayers. But I want to see those characters. In that area world, I guess you can say, in live action. I don't know. That's like I said. That is just me, because like these characters are so cool. Like, okay, Clone Troopers when I first got into Star Wars, I didn't care about Clone. I was like Clone Wars. I was like, what's this? Like, I didn't care when it first came out when we got the first new series. But as we started watching, Bad Batch and you know Star Wars Rebels, it made you really care about these clone troopers now. So now it's like I like the armor, I like everything about it. So I want to kind of see those characters. I don't get me wrong, the new suits and everything were great, but after watching Bad Batch and seeing all this and seeing Wolf, and it just like makes me want to see them in live action now. But that's
Yeah.
just like I said, it's just me. And don't get me wrong, cosplayers who do it are great. But I want to see just like them walking around, like the troopers walk
Yeah.
around and ask for your ID, and then you see, that's I kind of want to see that kind of stuff. But that's just me. Like I said, that's just me thinking out loud.
So you get that, but you don't get that with clone troopers. You get that with stormtroopers. You
Yeah.
you have stormtroopers like actually going on patrol, and they'll definitely talk to you. You'll have Chewie and Rey that will talk to you. If you end up going to Disneyland, you can run into Din Djarin, Grogu, Mando. I mean, well, yes, you can run into Mando, but not twice. You can run into Fennec Shand. You can run into Boba. They had Hera, Chopper, Ahsoka. Like, those opportunities are there, and who knows? Down the road they might have it to where they did something very similar, of where they had the characters from the live action shows show up at Galaxy's Edge, of where they have Captain Rex and those characters showing up. But what you're saying is they pretty much have what you're saying, just not with the characters that you want. So I would go there, look around, experience it, and see what you think, because of what you're telling me is very similar to what Galaxy's Edge is.
No, I agree. I'm not arguing.
Yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
see it, that type of
Yeah.
characters.
Oh, I get it. All right,
Yeah,
David.
so speaking of Daisy Ridley here, we have a story here on Bespin Bulletin. Another story. Daisy Ridley Star Wars New Jedi Order movie could shoot in late 2024 or early 2025, according to the actress. It's been almost an entire year since Daisy Ridley made a surprise appearance at last year's Star Wars Celebration and confirmed her return to the galaxy far, far away in the form of a brand new movie. However, there's been very minor updates ever since. Daisy Ridley has spent the past few days at South by Southwest, where her film Magpie premiered to mixed reviews. The Murder on the Orient Express star has been doing press at South by Southwest for Magpie and has spoken a few times about her upcoming untitled Star Wars film that will see her return as Rey Skywalker, as Rey attempts to build a new Jedi Academy. During her Magpie promotion, Ridley revealed that her flick could begin filming towards the tail end of this year or early next, telling Collider, "I think it could be this year. It could be, but I'm not sure. I think, to be honest, the writer's strike has obviously delayed quite a lot of things, so the intention was later this year. Hopefully, it will be. Otherwise, top of next, I would imagine, via Daisy Ridley." When asked about the film's title, Collider brought up to Ridley that the film was referred to as New Jedi Order during Star Wars Celebration in London last year, though nobody at Lucasfilm or Disney have confirmed if New Jedi Order is the official title. Ridley responded, "I don't know. I mean, I think so from the announcement. I don't think that's changed. Fans have often referred to the Rey Skywalker film as Star Wars New Jedi Order, based on the details shared at last year's Star Wars Celebration, which took place 11 months ago. It's been reported multiple times that the New Jedi Order was simply a working title in the past, even as recently as a couple of weeks ago, when the title Star Wars A New Beginning was once again rumored to be the film's title, as it is every few months from unreliable online sources. In March of last year, Stephen Knight, Peaky Blinders, was brought on to pen the script for New Jedi Order following the departure of the film's original writers, Damon Lindelof, The Leftovers, and Justin Britt Gibson, Into the Badlands. Since then, there's been practically no updates on the script, and the Writers Guild of America strike, which took place from May 2023 until September 2023, meant that Knight's work on the project came to a grinding halt for 4 months. Ridley, towards the tail end of 2023, said she'd not read a script and has now revealed to Collider that she still hasn't, but she expects to soon. Ridley says, I know a script is happening and I'm going to be reading it imminently, which is very exciting. The new Jedi Order film is set to be directed by Charmin Obey-Chinoy, who worked on Miss Marvel and currently does not have a release date. The next Star Wars movie is slated to be released on May 22nd, 2026. And though Lucasfilm haven't confirmed it, it's believed that date is being held for The Mandalorian Grogu, which begins filming in June. The next date listed for a Star Wars movie is December 18th of that same year, 2026, which could be when fans will see Ridley's Rey Skywalker back on the big screen. Daisy Ridley can next be seen in the Disney release Young Woman and the Sea, which is due to receive a limited theatrical release on May 31st, 2024, after being bumped up from being a straight to Disney Plus release. So, what do you guys think about that, Colin?
I feel like the last time we talked about this, I feel like we talked about this for like an hour and a half, like specific on this topic, and I think it was with James. I am optimistic. I don't want this to be episode 10. I think, and that's kind of going back to what we talked about a while ago. I really want them to explore new characters and like, new villains. I don't want them to, go down the storyline of here's Ray's like, second cousin twice removed, Rob Palpatine or something like that. Like, I don't need that. I don't think we want that. I want it to be like new, like something new, and maybe they could have it to where it was a villain from, all the way from the Old Republic or something. Or they did this in Jedi Survivor. Spoilers if you haven't played the game, play it. Here we go. They had a fallen Jedi from Jedi Survivor from the High Republic era, and then he was pretty much, they did a Captain America thing of where he was like frozen in Bacta for a very long time. Then he came back, and then he was one of the villains in that game, and that was really cool to see a character from the High Republic era, and he was in the Galactic Civil War era. So I would love to see something like that of where we have maybe someone that was from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but a long, long time ago, and then he comes back. Or we have just a whole new villain, a whole new species, bring something again from Legends. The possibilities are endless. I just don't want it to be where it's, something that's done before, but it's done in a different way, if that makes sense. But I'm optimistic, It's Star Wars, like Ray said before. Either way, I'll line up at midnight and I'll go and watch the movie. So, yeah.
Ray?
Right?
Well, I don't want to get you guys' hopes too much up because I overheard on another podcast, Kevin Smith, Fat Man Beyond, that there's another strike that we're looking towards that's going to possibly happen in a couple of months over the summer.
Yeah.
The production people who do all the stuff behind the scenes are preparing for a potential strike. Which, if this does happen, anything that's currently filmed, we'll be okay for right now. But any further movies that are going to come out, I think we're going to get hurt on that aspect. Which
they were mentioning that at the Oscars too, because I know Jimmy Kimmel said something like right at the end of his speech, and they brought all the cast and crew that was working that day, and maybe some other people from different projects that walked out, and he said with your negotiations coming up, we'll stand by you like you're standing with us. And I was like, oh, okay. So that kind of hinted at that there will be a strike. So
so that's a possibility. I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping they reach an agreement, with the studios, which I hope it isn't. But anyway, if it doesn't happen, if the strike doesn't happen, I'm very looking forward to what they can bring us. Like I said again, I'm going to say it again. Dave is in the captain chair, and I think he's going to make the right decisions and bring us what us fans want. And the people who he has under him are just as good as he is. So I have a lot of faith in him. So that's my thought.
Yeah, going back to what Colin said about the storyline for this new Jedi Order film, I mean, why not just do a Sith Academy that's happening simultaneously and have like young Sith versus young Jedi? I mean, that would be interesting, I think. I mean, that would be something we've never seen because we have the whole rule of two thing going on. But I mean, what are Sith? They break rules. They do things that are against the establishment. So, I mean, if there's like some secret Sith Academy, we have, because I think the thing that we really want that people don't often talk about is lots of Jedi versus lots of Sith. And we want that kind of live action fight to be seen on screen and done well. And I would love to see it in this film. I would really love to see it. I think it's great that Daisy Ridley's coming back. I hope Boyega comes back. I hope Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac somehow comes back. I mean, I thought those three choices of actors were great. I missed Daisy Ridley at South by Southwest because I was on a family vacation, but it would have been awesome to see her.
How dare you treat yourself? How dare you?
Yeah, I mean, that was, and I told Ted too. I was like, "Yeah, you're probably gonna see Daisy Ridley, and I'm probably gonna be on the other side of the world while that's happening." And yep, as luck would have it, she sat right behind him at the screening of Magpie, and he thought the movie Magpie was great. He liked it. He thought Daisy Ridley gave a great performance. If you're a Daisy Ridley fan, go check out that movie Supporter. She made it with her husband, who was a producer on the film, and it was their idea. So I would say check that out. And I've heard a lot of talk about her not, and I think she's addressed it, about her not getting a lot of jobs. I think she's gotten a lot of offers, but she's turned a lot of stuff down. But she's still been in other stuff, so I'm not quite sure how that kind of narrative is out there. But she did create her own thing, and then she's in that new Disney Plus movie that was going to be for streaming only, but now it's going to go theatrical in May. So I think she's doing good. I think she's doing really well, and of course she'll be in this next Star Wars film. And who knows if it's great, wonderful. Maybe we get more Jedi. Maybe we get a sequel called Jedi Academy or something. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. So
True.
I'm eagerly anticipating what that movie is going to be. So it feels like it's going to be that December 2026 movie after
Fingers crossed.
Mando and Grogu happens in May of that year. So 2 Star Wars films in 1 calendar year. That's going to be cool. Hopefully,
That would be great.
Hopefully people don't complain and say, yeah, this is too much Star Wars or anything. But I don't think we've ever really heard that before. But we do have a little bit of history with The Last Jedi releasing in December, and then that May Solo came out, and then everyone's like, oh, it was a flop. No, it wasn't really. It made its money back. It wasn't $1 billion hit like all the rest of the saga films were. So we'll see, man.
Mm-hmm.
We shall see. I know, Ray, you had a story that you wanted to talk about in regards to an artist.
Yes. Do you have the stuff in there?
I have the screenshot of the art.
Okay. Yeah, there's 2 artists. I'm gonna see which ones you had in here. I gave you. Blah, blah, blah.
The one with Leia's eyes.
Oops, wrong one.
Oh,
yes.
well, that's a sneak peek, but yeah.
My bad. Yeah. So this artist who is doing this piece, he's done MondoCon, and he's done other pieces that he's done in the past. It's kind of crazy because the stuff that he's done, it's just basically characters' eyes that he does, and it's kind of crazy because Jason is his name. I can't pronounce his last name. Edmondson, it looks like. But anyway, he's done so many characters that he's done like G.I. Joe, Transformers, Jaws, Scream, and it's always just focused just on the character's eyes, and it's so cool. And he's doing a Star Wars themed version. So these are the first two he's released. He's gonna be doing other ones as well. So I'm kind of curious which other characters he's gonna be introducing in this run. I don't know if it's gonna be New Hope-ish type characters, or is it gonna be throughout the series? So it's gonna be very interesting. As soon as we get more information, we could definitely post it, and you guys can see the link and click on it and see his artwork if you're into it. And he sells them in different sizes, so they're like the size of a ruler, and there's some that are a lot bigger. Um, I wouldn't mind having the Princess Leia one.
Yeah, for sure. There's a article on Gizmodo here that I can read a little bit of. It says it's entitled "You'll Love These New Star Wars Eyes We Know." It says, much as she did in Jabba's palace, Princess Leia is here to break something important out of a deep freeze. When Funko fired the bulk of creatives from Mondo, several exciting projects died, including Jason Edmiston's plan to release an ongoing series of Star Wars art. Now that the series is back and Leia is leading the way, with the help of former Mondo creative director Justin Ishmael, Edmiston has moved the project to Bottleneck Gallery, and on Thursday is releasing the second set of eyes from the series. First, it was Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader from Kenobi. Now it's Princess Leia and Stormtrooper from the original Star Wars A New Hope. He says, I'm very excited about my new partnership with Bottleneck Gallery for my Star Wars series. Edmiston told IO9 via email, the creative relationship dynamics that I enjoyed in my time with Mondo have recently changed, and those friends have since moved on to new pursuits at some exciting pop cultures companies. I decided it would be best for me to build a new relationship to continue the Star Wars series with my old friend, Justin Ishmael, and my business colleagues at B&G. I respect their enthusiasm and openness to creative ideas in general. Licensed by Acme, Archives, The Princess of Alderaan, and Soldiers of the Empire are both 9 by 5 inches giclées that cost $35 each. They'll both be released as limited timed editions from noon Eastern Time on Thursday, March 14th through 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday, March 17th at bottleneckgallery.com. Here they are. And I just showed you a picture of Leia, and there's a picture of the Stormtrooper.
That's really cool.
Princess Leia was a fun challenge for me, Edmiston said. Her innocent doe eyes belay her determination and toughness. I wanted to capture her fearlessness as well as her beauty. Those terrific hair buns also don't hurt when it comes to adding an element to enhance her recognizability. Stormtroopers are perhaps the most iconic representation of the Star Wars character universe, and I had to paint the New Hope version early on in the series to give them the respect that they deserve, the artist said. They are the skulls of pop culture, mysterious and scary, and instantly relatable to everyone as something evil. I'd love to paint every version of Trooper there is. They are all incredibly designed. Yes, you read that right. This is, once again, just the beginning of a larger series. When IO9 first debuted the series in 2022, Edmiston had big plans to do seemingly every character in the Star Wars universe, from the popular to the weird. You can read more about that here, but that plan is now back on. Everything that I had initially dreamt of producing for this line across any and all versions of the Star Wars universe will hopefully continue to be developed. Here at Bottleneck Gallery, he said, we've got a lot of fun things planned, characters from movies, TV shows, games, animation, and maybe even a little holiday special if we're permitted. So, yeah, I've personally bought stuff from Bottleneck Gallery. They're a really cool company, but they do their releases timed. So
Yes.
you have to be there at a certain time because most of the time they sell out within seconds, which is not that great because the reason why they sell out in seconds is because the hardcore resellers go out there and they probably use bots to just buy them instantly. And all the special editions get bought out quickly, and you could only get like the standard stuff. That's my experience.
Yeah.
So I wish it was different, but I actually do have an Ahsoka poster. I haven't even pulled out of the poster tube yet from Bottleneck that I haven't put up yet. But yeah, I've bought a lot of stuff from Bottleneck, so they're reliable. I believe they're located in New York.
Yeah, I haven't bought anything from them. The Mondo piece that you see to my side over here, That one is from a Mondo display they did for Batman-ish animated series. So they did Harley, they did the Mr. Freeze version. So they've done constant stuff like that. It's great. I mean, they're limited numbered. They do sell out, like you said, but it makes them worth more money because if you get your hands on it, which is a catch 22, if you get it, like I think I paid $175 for that one. Now sells for like almost 400. So, and the pieces that he's doing when they did the Mondo events, because they used to have a Mondo Con in Austin every year, and they had various artists who worked on paintings and posters like that, because they're all screen printed, and they would sell the art, and sometimes they would actually sell the sketch original arts with it as well, which was cool if you're an art fan. But his stuff always sold out. No matter what he did, it would sell out. So guys, get in line. Don't miss your chance to get Leia's eyes.
Yeah, and I would also really kind of emphasize try and buy them online because I've thought in the past that, oh, I'm going to these conventions and I'll be able to find these prints. I've never been able to find any of these prints anywhere. And I've gone with like money in hand to like get ready to buy some of these bottleneck gallery prints. You can't find them. It's weird.
Yeah.
It feels like in the past I've seen them at booths, but it's other people's art. So I mean, and if you look on eBay, some of these posters go for hundreds and thousands of dollars. So
Yep.
yeah, the resale market is insane. And there are some really cool Mondo Star Wars posters out there that I would love to
Oh,
have.
dude, yeah.
And if you go to the Alamo Draft Houses located, I think, anywhere in the country, New York, LA, here in Texas, you can see a lot of the Mondo prints decorating the hallways leading to the theaters, and they're awesome. They're so good. So good.
Oh yeah, definitely. Worth the money is definitely worth the money.
Yeah. And the actual Oscars took place this past Sunday, and I was actually able to watch most of it on vacation. It happened in a break in scheduled events there, and I noticed in the in memoriam section they did a nice little tribute to Carl Weathers, and a few other Star Wars alums were. I know there was I believe, a production designer for Return of the Jedi, and I was wondering about Ray Stevenson and Treat Williams, and at the very end, they just listed names in the big screen, and you could
Yeah.
find their names there because we're at the point now where there's so many people now that have worked in the industry are passing away every year. There's just not enough time to put the video tribute, and they just started listing the names, which is kind of scary, kind of sad that that's kind of what we're gonna expect from here on out, and losing a lot of the greats there. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because I know a lot of people said I didn't see anything for Treat or Ray Stevenson, but yeah, they were listed there, they were recognized, and yeah, I picked out their names. So is there anything else anyone wanted to talk about before we go?
If you're playing the classic Star Wars Battlefront trilogy, just give it time. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of it's being ranked as one of the worst game launches of all time right now, which I think is kind of insane because the games have been out for a bit. It's not that like the single player or if there's anything wrong with that. It's just the online servers are just not good. And I know the company that kind of re-sparked the games also is the one that was gonna remaster the Knights of the Old Republic, and that's been on the fence for a long time. So I would just give it time. When games like this happen, there's most of the time there's bugs like that first day, and it just came out yesterday. So I would give it time, a week or two, and hopefully everything will be fine. But I'm having fun just playing single player because I played those games growing up, so I felt like a kid as soon as I heard the do 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 do, and it would zoom in on the map. I was like, boom, I am back as a kid again. Let's go. So yeah, those games are fun, but if you're playing online with other friends and stuff, just give it time. That's all I got to say about that. But yeah.
Just want to give a shout out to Dragon's Lair Alamo Ranch for sponsoring our comic book read reviews. And then also, don't forget, they just did another announcement for Retro Expo.
Yes.
They just announced Anakin voice actor is going to be there as well. They're still announcing guests. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, get your tickets. We will be there. Hopefully me and Dave will be up there.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be fun.
Fun.
Yeah, at the is that the Allen Convention Center?
Yes. That one I think,
Okay.
let me double check. Plano, yeah.
July 13th.
Plano Event Center, yeah.
I might have to go to that one. I might have to tag along. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a RetroCon, and then there's also another one called Rebel Scum, right?
Yeah.
So
fun.
that one, Retro, is in Plano, and then the Rebel Scum is the city next to it in Allen at the Allen Event Center. So yeah, it's getting confusing, and a lot of these people are going to both. So
yeah, so we've been invited to be at both conventions, so it's gonna be pretty cool. So
well,
yeah.
I might have to go to that one. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So David, if you got room, I'll be there. Just letting you know.
Yeah, I'll be staying at my brother's house. So yeah, he lives very close to those places.
Oh,
so
yeah, David said I could sleep in the car.
Backyard, right? Backyard.
So before we go, we're doing a couple of giveaways for the mid-season premiere for the Bad Batch, but then we have a big one in the works. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm going to tell you what the mid-season one is, which is the group of the Bad Batch from season 1 with all their helmets on, and it is the Funko Pops. If you go to our Instagram, our new one at Star Wars Stuff Pod, you can go and try and win the giveaway. So all the details are there. So go and check out our Instagram. But yeah, that other giveaway we'll announce soon. We're actually working hard on that one. That one is requiring a lot of work. That's all I'm going to say about it. But the end results are going to be fantastic. So get ready for that and stay tuned. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So for Retro Ray, Colin, my name's David. May the force be with you.
Always.
Max Ribble lives.